Welcome to the Artful Teaching Podcast. We are back again in our Native American Curriculum Initiative series. I'm Callie Flox, and I'm here with Heather Francis and Brenda Beal. And today we are talking to Emily Soderborg, who's one of the researchers and writers on our team as the project manager in the Native American Curriculum Initiative. As part of her research, Emily recently attended a bear dance, and she's here to share her story.
So the bear dance is done at different times of year with the different Ute nations. So just so people are aware, there are 3 federally recognized Ute nations. One of them is the Ute Indian tribe of the Ute Mountain Ute Reservation, sometimes also known as the Northern Ute. Then you have the Southern Ute, and then you have the Ute Mountain Ute. And so the bear dance travels from different communities. So it starts in Randlet on the Uinta area, and then it goes to White Rocks, and then Fort Duchesne, and then it goes down to Ignacio in the Southern Ute area, and then it goes to Toyac. And in Toyac, by that time, because they do them different weekends, it's around June.
So you're saying when it travels, like the bear dance is performed in these different locations in sequential order?
Yes, so it's performed in sequential order. Each bear dance has its own bear dance chiefs. So not just one, but they have multiple chiefs that are in charge of knowing the songs, of organizing the events. And so out of those, each of them has specific people that sing different songs, but they also call it the bear dance circuit because the Ute people, no matter which nation they're from, there are some that travel and go to every single bear dance, and they feel like the bear is actually traveling with the bear dance. So the bear dance is in the Northern Ute, as it starts in Randlet, with the first thunder. It's the waking up. The bear is growling. It's waking up, coming out from hibernation. And it stems from this story. And this is the story that I heard. I talked to Jack Cansey Jr., who is one of the White Mesa Community bear dance chiefs. And he said with that story, there were 2 boys lost in the forest, and a mother bear found them and she raised them. And then as they reached adulthood, she sent them back out. And so she taught them this dance, and then they went and they taught the dance to the communities that they were in. And so this is part of a ceremonial dance, but it's also a social dance as they're doing this. So when the White Mesa community was trying to figure out how they were going to fit their bear dance in with all of the other bear dances, they turned to their elders. And this was Jack Cansey Jr.'s grandpa and his great-grandparents. They were trying to figure out, and they said, we haven't had a chance to do our bear dance. And so they set aside a time. They decided as a community that their bear dance would be done in the fall. And their bear dance, instead of bringing the bear out of hibernation, their bear dance was to send positive energy with the bear to put it back to sleep as the last bear dance of the season. And so there are no bear dances from June until Labor Day. So I went on Labor Day down to the White Mesa Community bear dance, and they were then sending the bear back, getting it ready, energy ready to go back to hibernate.
So did you say there aren't bear dances between June and Labor Day?
Yeah.
So they only happen from September to June?
No, they happen from the first thunder in the spring, which is usually March. So you have Randlet and White Rocks, Fort Duchesne, and Ignacio and Toyac. So all 5 of those happen in the spring. Uh-huh. And the White Mesa Community, so those happen like March, April, May, June, different weekends. And then the White Mesa Communities is on Labor Day weekend.
Okay, so there's a big break there in the July and August. Okay.
Yes.
My understanding is that there are times that the bear chief decides whether the bear dance is going to be held or not.
Yes. So Jack Cansey Jr. said that the bear dance chiefs, he and I think there were 3 others there, they decided to cancel it the first year of COVID, which they hadn't done in a really long time. And then last year, they decided that it would only be members of the White Mesa Community that were Ute that were allowed to participate. So it was very small. Prior to that, and then this year for the first time in 2 years, it's open to the public. Anyone is able to come and watch and participate as they're coming. So as I went down there, I didn't know exactly where I was going. I had talked to the education director and I told her I was coming. She's the only one from the White Mesa community that I've actually met in person. So I was going, not knowing where we were going, and they just had big signs that said bear dance this way. So I just followed them. So I was going partly because I was doing research, but I was also just going with my family over Labor Day weekend with my husband and my 2 little girls. We went down and we were giving our girls this opportunity to experience something new and different. Just because in my work with NACY, it's kind of changed the way I viewed things. I want to give my children more opportunities to see things through different perspectives. So that's part of the reason we went. So I had no idea where I was going, what I was doing. I just went, followed signs because I knew that it was happening on Labor Day weekend. Thankfully, as we were going, they didn't start on time, which happens different times as people are setting things up. So I had 45 minutes to talk to Jack Cansey Jr. So I am not in any way, shape, or form an expert. I am just sharing my experiences from my one experience of talking with Jack and then watching what was going on. So he was explaining as we go in. So the bear dance is done in a corral that they've built. So it's a round circle with an opening facing the east. And so they had like wire around, and then they had taken juniper trees and leaned them up. And so there were juniper trees all the way around this huge circle. And he was telling me that as you enter from the east and you go to the left, that's like the circle of life. It's birth. And as you get around to the back, like directly across, it is the stand where the singers are singing with their notched sticks. They didn't use any drums. They were just using the notched sticks. And that is adulthood. And then as it keeps traveling around, it goes to the elders. And so it's just this cycle of life happening. So being there and seeing the corral that they were in made me recognize this dance is a really, really simple dance. It's easy to do, but the setting and the symbolism there can't be replicated without the bear dance chief there. Like it can't be replicated without them building that corral and having those specific things in place. And I just recognize that even though this dance might want to be replicated by teachers, because it is a very, very simple dance. It's just walking forward and backward. Without the setting that it's in, I felt like it would totally change the feeling of the bear dance and what was going on.
And didn't you had a family member who got to experience the bear dance?
Yes. So as I was talking with Jack Cansey Jr., I was asking him, so who is allowed to dance in this? And he's like, well, anyone can dance. But like for me, I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt because it was 103 degrees. It was really, really hot. And he's like, well, you would need to be wearing a skirt and you would need to have a shawl to be able to dance. So as a female, I wasn't participating, but it is a female driven dance. The females are the ones that ask the males to dance. So that wasn't hard. So he said, if your husband's here, he needs to be ready and willing to dance, because if he gets asked, he can't say no. It's just part of the dance that males, they have to dance. And so I asked him, well, do males need to wear something specific? Like the females had to wear skirts and shawls. And he said the only stipulation was that he shouldn't be wearing shorts. Well, he was wearing shorts, but since we'd stayed overnight, he actually had pants. And so I just said, hey, would you be okay changing into pants in case anyone asks you to dance? And so he changed and he was wearing pants, and I had my 5-year-old and my 3-year-old there, and we were just watching. We took our camp chairs with us. We had a big umbrella. We were just sitting. You just sit right on the edge of the corral as you're there so that the dances happen. And so most of the time with the dances, just like 3 or 4 women would go, and they would go ask men that were sitting in a certain area really near the singers to dance. But they did a special memorial dance for someone who had passed away. And Jack, who was one of the bear dance chiefs, he invited all of the women who were ready to dance to ask someone to dance, so that they had, I think, about 40 or 50 women dancing instead of 4 or 5. And so I think almost every single male who was there was asked to dance. So my husband got asked to dance. And so he went out, and they line up men across from women. And then there is someone who taps them on the shoulder that tells them that then they can break away from the lines so that they can start moving forward or backward. So thankfully, they actually did a song first with them just standing in line, so my husband was able to watch. And then he was in the middle of the line, so he was actually also able to watch as they were going back and forth. But he was happy to participate. He wasn't seeking out the opportunity to dance, but he was happy that he was able to be there and do it in the correct way, and that he knew that it was respectful to not say no, that he just joined in the dance when he was asked to dance. Jack was also telling me that even if I could dance, I wouldn't have been able to dance with my husband, because it's a family dance. It's a way that they get to know other people. It's a social dance. So they're looking out. The women are meeting with like their aunties or their cousins, and they're like, okay, I'm going to go ask this man to dance. And they're like, nope, you can't. That's your cousin, or that's your uncle, or like you can't dance with anyone who's your family member, because it's a way of getting to know other people in the community.
You know, Emily, one of the questions that we ask teachers to ask themselves when they are looking at maybe a book or a resource that they're wanting to share with their students, the question is, how will this enrich my students' understanding? And so I want to ask you that question. How did this enrich your family's understanding?
Well, it was just so incredible to be immersed in it, not just to watch it, but even though I wasn't dancing, I was still immersed in it. I got to watch how the families were interacting, and I got to show my children how families were interacting. And you just looked at it from a different point of view. Just seeing the different point of view, I think, enriches our understanding that it's not all done the way that we think that it should be done. I was sitting actually next to a Navajo woman who was from the Blanding area, and she's like, oh, I'm not going to dance, but I come every year because I want to support them. And just recognizing that it wasn't all Utes there, that there were so many different people who were coming together. And she's like, I've missed it. One of the reasons she wanted to come, though, is on Labor Day, because the bear dance goes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They have it for 4 days. But on Monday, they have a feast that the White Mesa community shares with anyone who comes. And she's like, I have missed their fry bread and their beans. She's like, no one makes them quite like that, which was so fun. And we didn't get to eat together because they still had COVID protocols. We had a drive-through feast. So like we drove through, and then they were giving us boxes of food, but they had meat and beans and fruit and corn and fry bread for anyone. It was free for anyone who was there. But I also loved that Jack Cansey Jr., so applying this to things that I took away, he was telling me how this was unique and special just for the White Mesa community, how the bear dances are different. And we can't assume that because a bear dance is done in Randlet that it's going to be the same in White Mesa. So they did a special dance right before the feast that was called the fry bread dance. And he said it was the mother bear trying to entice her 2 sons that she had raised, the human sons, back to her. And so they go around the entire corral with a piece of fry bread in their mouth, dancing with fry bread in their mouth, saying the feast is ready, but it's also her trying to entice her sons back with her because she missed them so much that she wants to be there with them. And so recognizing that even within cultures, different communities have different stories, and that if I want to seek truth, I have to ask for multiple perspectives. I can't just say one person's story tells the whole story. It's one person's story tells their story. And so that's why I'm excited with this. I'm going to be working on the White Mesa Community bear dance. I'm not writing a bear dance lesson plan for all of the different communities. I'm focusing on the White Mesa community and telling that specific story.
I think it's amazing that this is the kind of research that we do. I love, Emily, that you got in the car with your family and went to, it was the you went to Ute Reservation?
It was the White Mesa Community, the Ute Mountain Ute.
Oh, sorry. The Ute Mountain Ute Reservation? Is that the name of the reservation?
Yes, so there's a little tiny pocket that is the White Mesa Community that is reservation land. Most of the Ute Mountain Ute land is actually in Colorado, but there's just a little pocket right in between Blanding and Bluff that is also reservation land of the Ute Mountain Ute.
I love it. You went to their space, to their land, to their experience that you were invited to, and really, really participated. And I like hearing the story too, because all of our lesson plans that we've done have this kind of research involved, where we're talking with partners, we're getting accurate, authentic voices, we're visiting on reservation land. And as a teacher listening to this, I'd be like, wow, I don't have so many weekends to go out. But we do encourage teachers to seek out these experiences.
Actually going and experiencing these kinds of activities will give you a new perspective on why and maybe how, or give you reasons that you can tell your children that though the bear dance is a simple dance, it's a sacred dance. It should be done in a space that the bear dance chiefs see that it should be done in, not just, anywhere and by anyone.
So I thought it was really interesting because Jack Cansey Jr. had gone to Blanding Elementary the week before, because on the Friday of the bear dance, they actually bused students to the corral that were not Ute, but bused them there so that they could participate in the bear dance. And he had talked with them, teaching them what the bear dance was meant for, but also the need to be respectful. One of the stories he did tell me is that there was a little boy who was goofing off, and he fell down, and he pulled his partner down while they were dancing, and they stopped everything. They stopped the music, and they went and they blessed that boy and that girl. They drew a circle around them, and they wouldn't let them stand up until they had finished blessing them with the instruments, because they wanted them to recognize, and they do this anytime anyone falls down during the bear dance. They wanted them to recognize the significance of being respectful and of helping the person that you're dancing with, because one person is constantly walking backwards and you switch off. One person is walking forwards while the other's walking backwards, and then the other way. But just they brought it into the community, but they brought them to their bear dance corral to dance there. They didn't just go dance at the elementary school. They brought them there to help them have that experience there.
Wow, that would be so great. I want to go next year.
There are local opportunities for teachers to experience Native American dances at the powwows, and there's many powwows available, so teachers don't get discouraged when you can't travel to the distant specific pieces. Enjoy what we have in our own communities and find a close by powwow and start there. Emily, thanks so much for sharing your story today. Do we have any final comments?
I just thought it was so fun. And I'm glad that I'm able to share the joy that I had in learning more, that it's not just research that's book research, but it's person research and talking to people and going and doing things I've never done before and not being afraid of trying something new, because I get scared doing things, but it was great.
I love that you didn't even know Jack Cansey Jr. You didn't even know him, but you met him and you took the opportunity, and it seems like he enjoyed talking to you too. So you weren't interrupting his space or time, but you were acknowledging and honoring him by letting him tell you the stories that he told you.
Yes.
One thing that really interested me was Emily is somebody that's on time all the time. Like if it starts at 3, she's there 5 minutes till 3, or before 3, and so she's somebody that keeps me on time. But she's learning that time doesn't always have to be linear, that time can be circular, and there's such a thing as circle time with Native American people. We start when we're ready to start, and we finish when we're ready to finish, when everything has been accomplished, rather than saying we're starting at 8 and ending at 9. And because she was in the White Mesa Community space, Emily honored it, because her husband said, we've got to be there, we're going to be late. And Emily said, no, it's okay, we'll get there when we get there. Because as soon as she knew she was entering into the White Mesa Community, she was on circle time, which means we start when we start, and we don't finish until everything is completed. And so to me, because she was willing to be on that circle time, she was able to meet with Jack Cansey Jr., and she was able to spend 45 minutes. If they would have started, and this isn't because Emily Soderborg was coming and therefore we're going to hold off for 45 minutes. It's just the way it happened. And for Jack Cansey, having somebody interested in what he had to say was as important to him as it was for Emily. And I know that because he wouldn't have spent all of that time unless he felt like there was something he needed to say, because he is one of the bear dance chiefs down in that community.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Artful Teaching. We wish you joyful learning and artful days. Artful Teaching is made possible by the BYU Arts Partnership in the McKay School of Education.
Thanks to James Houston for editing this podcast. Music was generously provided by Connor Chi, a Navajo Diné composer and performer.
And special thanks to all of the teachers who are changing lives every day while serving in schools.
If you like what you heard, please leave us a review. You can find all the show notes for this episode and more resources at advancingartsleadership.com.
And don't forget to check out our tribe-approved lesson plans on the website as well.
I'm Heather Francis.
And I'm Callie Flox.
And I'm Brenda Bial.
Wishing you an artful journey.
Listen to the Utah Teacher Fellows podcast. We explore the greatness of the profession through individual teacher stories. Join Audrey Dameron and Ryan Rarick as they speak to teachers and teacher leaders throughout the state. Recent episodes include Audrey explaining her decision to run for state school board. Casey Weaver, a teacher in the Ogden School District, spoke about the rooms full of human potential she encounters as a kindergarten teacher. And coming this month, we speak with Marley McClune about overcoming imposter syndrome and how she strives to own her own greatness. We love discussing a wide array of complex issues that make up the teaching profession. We also would love to engage with our audience. Check our show notes for our email address where you can submit mailbag questions that we will discuss in future episodes. Find the Utah Teacher Fellows podcast at theutahteacher.com or on any major podcasting platform such as iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon, and Stitcher.